Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we have with us Paul Berry, who is the founder and CEO of RebelMouse. Welcome to the program, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, so let's start with, what is a RebelMouse? I mean, obviously Rebel, I get that feel, but how did you come up with that name, and what does it signify?
For me, it's humble and ambitious. It's playful and memorable. I believe in storytelling. And so, like Angry Birds, the first time you hear it is you don't need a reminder to remember what it was.
Yeah.
Because your mind is thinking, what are those birds angry about? You know?
What's the mouse rebellious about? Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a big point of view. We're not just another content management system. We're helping people understand how to succeed in this new world of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and your website, and it's overwhelming, and it needs something that helps you bring it all together and actually succeed in a time of disruption.
I love that, because it gives the feeling of clarity and focus and, not feeling like you're running in 9 directions at once, because we do realize that our target audience feels that. So
yeah.
So that's your solution. What are a couple things that that are good points to keep in mind when thinking about starting down that road? Because I would sense that a lot of companies would say, just help, we're kind of drowning, we're up to our eyeballs in just going crazy. So where do you start?
Well, I think that the important thing right now I've been thinking a lot about is, as a founder, it's your obligation to tell the story. And it's tempting to delegate that obligation and say, I need someone who's really good at telling this story, and I need that marketing team, etc. What is really cool about today's world is it used to require an entire team, graphic designers, everything, to produce content. And today, it's actually, I produce a lot of content for RebelMouse. If you go to RebelMouse's Instagram, we do have 2 content people, and they're awesome. But it's really changed everything when I decided to tell the story. And so you can easily put a quote or a saying or a mission over an image, make it look beautiful. And there's a myth that's a little bit hurtful that fragments people further, that, what you post to Facebook has to be totally different from Instagram and totally different from Twitter. And it is true to a degree that you have to be native to those platforms. But we see people miss all the time that the thing they have working on Facebook or that the thing they have working on Instagram will work just as well on the other platform, especially when it's visual and it's cause-oriented and it's genuine. And so usually founders are very, when you're stressed, you're dealing with all these factors, but when you get to the, glass of beer and talk about the why, you get to really genuine stories. And those are the ones you want to really help put out as much as you can. And you can do it all on your phone. That's what's cool, is you don't need I need a video editing suite and software and all
and
this.
lighting, post-production
it's like
editing.
Literally on your phone.
Yeah. You bring up a good point about the same message across different channels and being different on each one, and I know that is kind of common. That's commonly thought of. But what strikes me is some businesses or founders or marketing professionals that know we need to do a better job on social media. It's spotty at best. Isn't it true that just getting consistent across your social media platforms is a wonderful step. So maybe do that for a period of time, and maybe it is the same message across all. And then maybe you set up a sequence or a time sequence, maybe twice a week, twice a month, whatever that might be, to go, okay, we're doing our message across everything, but the first Thursday of every month, we're going to do an Instagram-only type, post or video or whatever. And then you're kind of injecting that into the sequence with some personality. And then, hey, the third Friday of the month, we're going to do our Facebook Live, and then that way, then it kind of is like a little salt and seasoning in that mix, right?
Yeah, I think those things can be very effective. It's just to remember that ultimately, like, get rid of the noise and all of the stars and what makes it scary. You're trying to tell your story. And so ultimately, we think in terms of campaigns. So, for example, for us, we hope that what we're doing is like what Airbnb did to Craigslist, we're doing to WordPress. So we'll have campaigns that are focused on people who are running with all the trouble and hell of WordPress, and say there's a better way to do that. And that's expressed through lots of things. Like there's probably 200 pieces of content that we have that's a one sentence with an image, or that's like 10 images compiled into a readable video. But all of them are directed and clearly tracked because ultimately you really do want returns. Right? It's not just to brag about how many followers you have. You really want your story to reach the customers, potential customers, your funnel. And when you do it right, it's all quite simple. You're putting out your story, and then on social, you're following. I think as founders, again on the delegation, like make sure your official Twitter and Instagram and Facebook accounts are on your phone.
Yeah.
Because then you know who to follow. Like you post something and then you go follow a bunch of people and then you see what they're saying and you riff off of it. And it's something that truly in most companies only a founder can do at that level. And when you do it, you realize, oh, it's not that hard. It's all on my phone, and I inspire the company below me, and it brings everyone up. It's almost like I'm a dad and that you read to your kids. If you read to a 6-year-old at a 9-year-old level, when you're reading with them, it's great for them. They love it. It sparks, but you read slowly. It sparks conversation. And that's the type of thing, not to have any condescending relationship. I learn a ton from my employees. But that it's your obligation, since it's almost like a vision is a creature that you have to go visit and talk to, and it has opinions and how it thinks you're doing, and you get inspired, and you want to translate that in real ways of telling the story to your employees, who might be the person who runs Twitter or Facebook for you, but also to your customers and to the world. And it's such an amazing moment in history right now, where it's possible we can reach all these people in an efficient way.
So what do you say to people that you work with, or maybe start working with, that would feel pushback because they go, what if I put something out there and crickets, right? And I know there's stories of the people that put out one piece of content and it goes viral or whatever. And then there's other stories of people that go, I put this out and I got like 3 views, but then I put out another piece the next week and I got 4 views, and put something else out and I got 5 views, which is nothing to brag about, but doggone if one of those people didn't call me back and we did some business. So where's that balance?
Oh, well, we're totally data-oriented. So it's not just you operate from telling the story, and the inspiration for the source of the content and ideas is from the gut, from the heart. But then you go and measure everything, and there's 2 ways you measure. You measure the best performing content, and that's kind of obvious to everyone, what are hits. People often miss to analyze the worst performing content and take a moment at the end of the month and say, what did not work? So you stop doing that because we don't have time for it. So you realize, oh my God, we're doing these things, that the tweets to an article, nobody's retweeting them ever. The way we're doing them, it's just, we might as well not even do them at all. But It's almost, I've been doing viral, contagious media for 20 years of my life. It's almost never that someone puts something once out, just once, and it goes viral. Mm-hmm. Usually there's almost 99.9% of the time there's actually a story behind the work and effort that was systematic and planned and strategic to get to that moment. That's what we help with our clients, how do you build that momentum, how you set yourself up so that you can go viral. And
it's almost like priming the pump, right?
Yeah, it's like brands think about it. We work a lot with media companies. I have a media company background, but I love that we're working with brands where I also have background on the conversion and with businesses that need deals. And like you said, the social media stats, all of them, if you're a B2B business and you have clients who sign deals, all of those numbers have to boil down to closed deals and how much revenue. Because you could get 30,000 likes and not one deal, and what did it help you?
Yeah.
And you could get 5 likes and 2 deals, and that is awesome. So a huge piece of it is knowing who social, often people see it as a way just to express themselves. But they miss the real magic of it, which is to collaborate with others who are expressing themselves. Ideas are not something that somebody ever has or own. They're always like something we tap into. So if you have the idea, someone else does. And that might be a customer for you because they realize they have a problem and they had an idea. Someone must be working on solving that, and you're the one who's solving it. Sometimes it's someone else but you want to share their content. You want to like their content. And you don't want to do it randomly. You want to do it thoughtfully, again, as a part of the story. Who's that group of, I hate the word influencers. It's so full of so much garbage. But who are the people who you admire that you want to be associated with? Mm-hmm. And you want to share their content. You want to like their content. You want to comment on it. You want to go ahead and take the first step out there to show. And what happens when it's genuine and it's respectful like that, 99% of the time, like in life, that type of action is reciprocated. So they see you and they respect you for it. And then they reciprocate. And so much we learned about how you create traffic. It's funny, but it's just like life and love. You give love, you get love. And it works the same with traffic. So a lot of people are... Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I was talking to a client this morning who made a comment that he was so happy that he has read How to Win Friends and Influence People every year, once a year for 5 years in a row, because he goes, that has taught me so much about relationships. And, he goes, I can come off cold and snappy in text messages, so I need to, soften it up. And so I think that's what you're saying there is we don't really want to put out certain messages that are like, okay, check, I sent out my tweet today. Check, I did this, to, further something along today. You need to inject your personality, your style, your story, your ethos into that.
Yeah, and you have to decide. This is the most important thing. You have an audience. It might be just 5 people, it might be 500,000 or 5 million. You have to decide who you're consciously exposing to your audience. Mm-hmm. So it's not just what you tweet, it's very much what you retweet. And same on Facebook and Instagram. To pick people who you endorse like that is a careful and strategic process. But people often miss it, and on social, every single time, there it is, another post about themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's like talking to someone who only talks about themselves. Mm. You can't grow on social that way, and you're missing a big opportunity because the big thing about this is to be able to form strategic alliances fluidly. Without contracts and now without literal handshakes, because you don't even have to see them. You're creating this fluid network of endorsement.
And that's an interesting prospect because I know that there's a huge movement these days. I interviewed Bob Glazer on my program a few weeks ago who just came out with a new book, and his whole thing with strategic partnerships is kind of like a new framing around affiliate marketing. Basically getting an influencer to promote a product, and then there's a revenue share. Well, you're saying, wonderful, fine, but what if we can do the opposite of that to where it just happens naturally and, keep your 2 cents or your $2 or whatever the commission, I just want to do it. How, that sounds wonderful, but doesn't that sound pie in the sky to a lot of people? How would you take some steps to achieve that?
Oh, well, it's actually quite simple, and it's very easy to measure, and it'll be shocking to people how quickly it returns results. So like I said in life, like you give love and you get love, you've got to take a risk. Not everyone's going to love you back. Yeah. So you can walk around your day with a grim face and just buy your thing and walk off and not say anything, or you can be like, hey, how's it going, and be a little bit outgoing about things. You've got to take a risk, and you've got to do it in a way that you feel you can defend. Again, this is why I think it starts with the founder. You say, I want to share that person. They're awesome. I don't know if they'll share back, but I'm proud to share them. Yeah. And when you take that step forward, and you don't just do it for the person who has 18.5 million fans, like, okay, I like Taylor Swift too, but who is in your thought space that you admire? I'll tell you, at HuffPost, and sometimes people call it the really big bear hug. And in business terms, it's you hug them so tight they can't get away. and so at HuffPost, I was CTO. We built that company. I ran product and engineering. We sent a ton of traffic out to our competitors. And you don't have to necessarily, let's say you're a roofing company, you don't have to go endorse the competing roof company necessarily, okay? So don't take it, where it doesn't fit. But we did literally endorse the other one in the sense we drive a ton of traffic out to their best stories. And our audience respected us for it. It's like you're not the jealous spouse. You're not scared they won't come back, and it shows something really strong. And at some point, we were sending 5 million uniques a month to TMZ, and we could go to them and say, hey, have you guys noticed? And they say, yes, okay, how do we make sure it keeps happening? And we said, it's easy. You put a little module on your site and just link back to us. And they said, done. Well, because they don't want to lose it. And if we had come to them and said, hey, we're going to start sharing, but only if you share back, and they would have been like, whatever, I don't know, let's see.
It reminds me of the phrase results in advance, because you gave them some tangible results before you even hinted, or in fact, probably it was not even part of your plan initially. You weren't going, okay, 3 months from now, we're going to approach them, so we need to make sure we do X. Okay, now it's 2 months. Okay, call them. It was just,
we
just
thought, let's endorse the people we like, and it's that where we have always seen the more traffic you send out, the more you get back. And that it works the same on social. If it's just always to your own site, always to your own content, then no one else is going to be sharing it.
Yeah, I love that. So what are some things then, because what I'm hearing is, what you put out comes back. To be loved, you need to be loving. To be you have friends, you need to be friendly. All of that. Love it, love it, love it. What's one tip? What's one thing? What's one tangible thing that we can all do starting tomorrow morning or Monday or Tuesday morning, or whatever, is that we can do to kind of start that ball rolling so that we feel like it's not some laborious process? Because I love what you said about the cell phone. If the founder has that and you realize that you can do that in 2 seconds, boom, 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 it's not some to do. So what's a takeaway we can implement?
All right. So let's see if I can keep it simple enough, because I get deep in my world, okay? So I'd like to focus on Instagram, because people don't realize en masse, like Instagram is not what it was a year ago. It used to be like, I put my weekend photos, my food photos, and my kid photos. But now it's taken over for Snapchat, and it's also about causes and ideas and movements and concepts, and it's about talent and work. So and it also is a wonderful platform because you can start at zero, literally zero followers, and there are enough organic signals by putting out the right content and following the right people to build a real following. And by real, I mean like 500 to 1,000 people in a week. Is an experiment I did between having 3 kids and running a company of 40 people and everything, but between things on my phone as a little experiment. And so the trick is to first accept Instagram, go get your corporate account set up if it's not there, if not, get it on your phone. And then in Instagram, you can regram. It's a little tricky, but you've got to embrace that you're going to install a couple apps on your phone. In fact, you've got to become friendly overall after the little proof case that installing apps on your phone is a good idea. And there's going to be lots of little apps you end up installing. It's pretty funny. It used to be you spend $3,000 on the Adobe Studio. Now you install 4 different free apps, and you pay for one. So Snapseed is fantastic. The moment you find a nice photo, you go to Snapseed, which you put on your phone, and that is the way you make a quote look gorgeous on an image. And so ignore every other feature, but just get a nice image, whether you took a photo or you found it on Instagram, which you can use an app called Regram, which you can search on the store to get the photo out of Instagram. Sometimes you find a beautiful photo in Instagram, then that's a perfect photo to take to add the quote to in Snapseed. So now you say, and you can look at the Instagram.com/RebelMouse. We do these, they get great engagement, they flow into a funnel. You put your quote, I followed the path I loved, whatever it is aligned to your business. And then you post to Instagram, and you mention the person whose photo you used. You say, and thanks to the amazing or the brilliant or whoever, because you love their photo. So just express that you love their photo and that you use it for that. And maybe mention one person that you would love to like that photo, that you hope they see it and like it. Might be a customer, might be a prospect, might be a company you'd like to work with that has an Instagram account. And you do that, you'll see it. You'll feel oh my God, that was fun. And I love what I did, and I could communicate as a founder like this.
Mm-hmm. And that's giving, and that's thinking about the other person, and that's showing, deference to them before you're like, hey, hook a brother up,
Yeah, exactly. And so if you have a little bit of a following, by the way, once you make that image, put it on your Facebook and tweet it too, because it's perfect. And you find the same person on Facebook and Twitter if they're there. And you'll see that, wow, what's really cool is to realize that maybe that's how we all should be communicating. We learn new communication methods all the time. And we now know that we have to have a personal presence on these social accounts, and we have to learn how to tweet. And I think a next evolution that software is making so simple for us is to express ourselves through video and through images. Mm-hmm. And so the advanced bonus challenge of this would be to install WeVideo and do that same thing I said to images, but pick 5 images, and in WeVideo, go make a readable video, which means that you're going to tell a little story. 2 minutes max, 30 seconds is fine, and it's 4 sentences, maybe 10. And 1 sentence per image. WeVideo will then turn it into a really cool, readable video, and it's so fun. The feeling that creates when you share it, when you show it to people, when you show it to employees, it will almost always be an inspirational moment.
That's awesome. Those are good, easy, applicable tips that people can do quickly and probably not even costing a dime. So that's awesome. Thank you, Paul. Hey, so what's the best way that people can engage with your company?
So RebelMouse.com is our website, and we right now, we do work on higher price points. Just to be transparent, we're an enterprise company. But you should watch out because later this summer we're going to be introducing lower-end products that have really cool and can move the needle, like that are more in the $10 and $100 a month pricing. For anyone who's running a media company or higher traffic site or has a larger company and deals with a blog and content marketing, we work with United, with BlackRock, United Airlines, and also a wonderful example of our work that I'm very proud of is Axios, AXIOS.com, which is one of the fastest growing new media sites, has become a darling. But we use RebelMouse, our own software, to power our website on RebelMouse.com, and that's how you should be doing a B2B type of a business, where it's a mix of content and promotions to contact, etc. So
it's always great to see a brand using the same strategies that they're proposing that other people should use.
Yes, we try to actually build a business around it, so I'm proud of that. And I am accessible by email, paul@rebelmouse.com.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on to the show, and really appreciate your insights.
Thanks so much for having me, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.